I grew up in the middle of a small rural town, 1,000 people approximately in the town, and I lived right smack dab in the middle of the town, right by Main Street.
Behind every legend, there is often a silent force, someone whose strength, sacrifice, and love hold everything together. Diane Pohl, the unseen strength behind the legend and the health battle that shook fans, uncovers the extraordinary journey of the woman who stood quietly beside one of America's most beloved veterinarians. Through joy, heartbreak, resilience, and an unexpected health crisis, Diane's unwavering spirit became the quiet heartbeat of the Pohl legacy. What happens when the rock of the family is the one who falters? This is not just a story of survival, it's a story of soul, of strength, and of unseen heroism. Diane's formative years and unseen compassion of Diane Pohl. The concern was palpable. But to understand Diane's current battle, one must first journey back to the roots of her extraordinary resilience. Long before the clinic walls or television cameras, a young girl in rural Mayville, Michigan, was quietly forging a bond with the animal world, a bond that would define her life in ways no one could predict. Diane Pohl, then Diane Dalrymple, grew up embraced by the gentle rhythms of country life. Her family's household in Mayville was a lively menagerie, a place where chickens clucked in the yard and pigeons cooked from their roosts. It was here, amidst this everyday communion with creatures great and small, that Diane developed a profound sensitivity, an almost intuitive understanding of their needs.
My dad always loved animals. My mother had grown up on a farm, so we always had animals around. My mother didn't like them in the house, but my dad had everything from chickens to rabbits to pigeons to cats, dogs, whatever, even a woodchuck.
These weren't lessons learned from books, but from daily life, from the texture of fur and the softness of feathers. Imagine a young Diane, perhaps no older than 7 or 8, finding a fledgling fallen from its nest. While other children might poke at it with a stick, she would be the one to gently cup it in her hands, her brow furrowed with concern, already figuring out how to offer comfort and care. Or picture her in the family's backyard, observing the intricate social order of the chickens, her fascination not just with their antics but with their very being. These early, hands-on experiences weren't just fleeting childhood memories, they were seeds, planting a deep-seated compassion that would quietly, yet powerfully, guide the course of her adult life. This innate connection to animal care became an undercurrent to her developing personality. As Diane grew, her intellectual curiosity blossomed in tandem with this natural empathy. At Mayville Community High School, she wasn't just another student, she excelled, her sharp mind absorbing knowledge with an easy grace. It was during these formative years that she discovered another calling, a passion for teaching. This path seemed a natural fit, a way to channel her intellect and her desire to nurture. Her journey into professional life thus began not in a barn or a field, but in the world of education. She pursued this with characteristic dedication, enrolling at Michigan State University. There, she didn't just earn a degree, she achieved advanced qualifications in special reading, a field demanding immense patience, an understanding of complex needs, and the ability to create structure where it was lacking. These core values, patience, structure, compassion, and a deep-seated understanding became the bedrock of her character. Though her career initially took her into classrooms, these principles would, in time, prove invaluable in an entirely different arena. The early exposure to animals that lived, breathed connection, ensured that the mission of animal welfare was never far from her heart. It begs the question, how did this dedicated educator, seemingly destined for a career shaping young human minds, find herself as an indispensable cornerstone of one of America's most recognized veterinary practices? The answer wasn't one of simple necessity. It was a matter of values, of that ingrained compassion and desire to serve. Her heart, it seemed, was always directed towards healing, in whatever form it took. This inherent drive, cultivated in the fields of Mayville and honed in the halls of academia, was quietly preparing her for a partnership and a purpose that would touch millions. Her path seemed set, a dedicated educator making her mark, but fate, as it often does, had a different blueprint, one that would arrive in the form of a young man from across an ocean, forever altering the course of her meticulously planned life. Across the ocean, a love forged. Her path seemed set, a dedicated educator making her mark, but fate, as it often does, had a different blueprint, one that would arrive in the form of a young man from across an ocean, forever altering the course of her meticulously planned life. The quiet fields of Mayville were about to witness an encounter that would spark a love story for the ages and lay the first stone for a veterinary empire. In 1961, a Dutch teenager with veterinary dreams, Jan Pol, left his family farm in the Netherlands and landed in Mayville, Michigan. He arrived as a teenage exchange student, driven by a potent mix of curiosity and courage, seeking knowledge and a glimpse of a world beyond his own. He found much more than that. In the hallways of Mayville Community High School, Jan encountered Diane Dalrymple. It wasn't just a casual meeting. Diane's warmth, hair, keen intelligence, and an almost tangible kindness left an immediate and lasting impression on the young man from overseas. There was an unspoken connection, a spark that ignited despite their different backgrounds.
Diane Pol and Dr. Jan Pol have been married for over 56 years. They celebrated their 50th anniversary in August 2017. Diane and Jan met in high school and have been together since then. They dated for a few years before tying the knot.
After his exchange year, a period brimming with new experiences and the burgeoning connection with Diane, Jan returned to Europe. His path led him to Utrecht University, where he embarked on a demanding veterinary program. The academic rigor was intense, the studies all-consuming, yet, through it all, Jan remained committed, not just to mastering the complexities of animal medicine, but to nurturing the bond he'd formed with Diane. Theirs became a transatlantic relationship, a testament to a devotion that miles of ocean could not diminish. Handwritten letters, filled with hopes, dreams, and the daily chronicles of lives lived apart, became their lifeline. Each stamp, each postmark, carried the weight of anticipation and the reaffirmation of their connection. The challenges were immense. The distance, the different time zones, the sheer effort required to keep a long-distance love alive in an era before instant communication. Could their fledgling relationship truly survive such a profound separation? The answer came resoundingly in 1967. Their unwavering commitment, their patience, and the deep well of affection they shared culminated in marriage. It was a union that defied the odds, a partnership forged in loyalty and a shared vision for the future. 3 years later, in 1970, with his veterinary credentials in hand, Dr. Jan Pol, accompanied by his new bride, Diane, returned to Michigan. They settled in Harbor Beach, where Jan began his professional journey, laying the groundwork for what would become a decades-spanning career in animal care. Throughout these foundational years, as doctor, Pol worked tirelessly, racing from farm to farm, treating a myriad of animals and earning the respect of the rural communities. Diane was his steadfast supporter, a quiet pillar of strength. Then came 1981, a pivotal year. It was the moment Jan and Diane Pol looked at each other, a shared understanding passing between them, and made the audacious decision to venture out on their own. This was a significant risk, a leap into the unknown that would lead to the birth of Pol Veterinary Services. But what personal sacrifices, what unseen efforts, would this new chapter demand? Particularly of Diane, from a shared dream in a small town to the daunting reality of starting their own practice from their garage, the Pols were all in. But transforming a humble beginning into a renowned clinic would require more than just medical skill. It would demand an unseen, unwavering operational force. Diane's unsung role in an empire, from a shared dream in a small town to the daunting reality of starting their own practice from their garage, the Pols were all in. But transforming a humble beginning into a renowned clinic would require more than just medical skill. It would demand an unseen, unwavering operational force. While doctor, Pol became the face of compassionate animal care, Another Pole was meticulously building the scaffolding of their success, a role far from the public eye, yet utterly indispensable.
In 1981, Diane and Dr. Pole established Pole Veterinary Service out of their home in Whiteman, Michigan. Since then, the business has moved on to bigger and better things, providing service to over 20,000 clients now.
Every successful frontman, every celebrated figure, often has an indispensable manager working diligently in the shadows. For Pole Veterinary Services, that genius, that steadying influence, was Diane Pole. She was the one transforming the potential chaos of a rural veterinary practice into a well-oiled machine, often armed with nothing more than a calm voice, an unwavering gaze, and an innate understanding of both people and process. When Jan and Diane embarked on their own venture, Diane didn't merely assist, she became the operational backbone of the clinic. Her commitment was absolute. Imagine the scene on any given day, phones ringing off the hook with urgent calls from farmers miles away, a worried family rushing in with an ailing pet, the schedule already packed tight, and unexpected emergencies, demanding immediate attention. In the midst of this controlled frenzy, Diane was the orchestrator. She managed the relentless flow of calls, navigated the complex and ever-shifting schedule, and ensured that client communications were handled with both efficiency and empathy. Her role wasn't glamorous. There were no television cameras focused on her as she balanced budgets or trained new administrative staff. Yet, it was utterly essential. Her transition from the world of education to veterinary administration was remarkably graceful, almost seamless. This was, in no small part, due to the skills she had honed as a teacher specializing in special reading. The patience required to help a child decode a difficult passage was the same patience she now applied to a frantic pet owner. The ability to create structure and understanding in a classroom translated directly into her knack for organizing the clinic and, crucially, the emotional intelligence she had developed and that intuitive capacity to understand unspoken worries and anxieties became one of her greatest assets. When a distressed farmer called about a sick calf, or a family brought in their beloved, suffering pet, Diane provided more than just logistical solutions. She offered reassurance. She understood, with a clarity that defined her approach, that good veterinary service meant caring for the people just as much as the animals. Diane Pole made Pole Veterinary Services a place of comfort and growth, not just for the animals, but for the staff as well. She cultivated an environment where compassion was prioritized, where the well-being of the team and the clients was as important as the bottom line. Her leadership was quiet but undeniable. Even as she moved into her 70s, her dedication and stamina remained a driving force within the clinic. She never sought public validation. For decades, her unwavering reliability was the only testimony she needed. Her attitude towards everyone, from a worried pet owner to a new trainee, never varied. It was one of essential humility and a genuine, heartfelt desire to help. She was, in every sense, the unsung hero, the quiet authority, the woman who truly ensured the success of it all. One might wonder, how did she manage such a demanding, multifaceted role for so many years? Largely without the fanfare afforded to her husband? What was the personal toll of shouldering such immense responsibility? Day in and day out, day after day, year after year, Diane was the steady hand guiding the clinic. But their shared life was about more than just the practice. Their hearts and home expanded in ways they hadn't initially planned, bringing new joys and unforeseen challenges, a tapestry of love, the Pole children and their journeys day after day. Year after year, Diane was the steady hand guiding the clinic. But their shared life was about more than just the practice. Their hearts and home expanded in ways they hadn't initially planned, bringing new joys and unforeseen challenges. Beyond the demands of the clinic, Jan and Diane Pole embarked on another profound journey, parenthood, a path they chose through adoption, forever shaping the Pole family. Their home, much like their bustling veterinary clinic, became a sanctuary of care, a place where love was the primary language. Though Jan and Diane Pole did not have biological children, their desire to nurture and build a family was immense. Over time, this desire led them to adoption, welcoming 3 children, Kathleen, Charles, and Diane Jr., into the Pole household. Each child brought their own unique personality, their own distinct journey, enriching the family tapestry. The decision to adopt was a natural extension of the same nurturing values they upheld so fiercely in their veterinary work: unconditional love, unwavering patience, and a profound sense of responsibility. These weren't just ideals espoused by Jan and Diane. They were principles lived out daily, demonstrated through example in a home brimming with affection, discipline, shared laughter, and a quiet, steady faith. Diane, with her inherent understanding and structured compassion, played a pivotal role in creating this environment, instilling in her children the family values that would become their own anchors.
You know, Diane and I have been working together for 43 years in the practice here, you know, where she does, you know, in the office and I do the veterinary work, and it works well together.
Kathleen Pole, the eldest, generally chose a life away from the pervasive public spotlight that would later envelop the family. She married Gregory Butch, and together they had 2 children, Rachel and Adam James Butch, adding another generation to the Pole lineage. While Kathleen herself seldom appeared on The Incredible Doctor, Pole, her personal story, particularly the hardships she would face, resonated deeply with viewers who felt a connection to the family's journey. Charles Pole, the middle sibling, became the most publicly recognizable of the Pole children, often appearing on camera alongside his father. He also worked diligently behind the scenes as a producer for the show. His early immersion in the world of veterinary medicine blossomed into a passion for storytelling, a talent that would prove instrumental in bringing The Incredible Dr. Pole to national television. His on-screen charisma and off-screen leadership were undeniably key factors in the show's remarkable success. Diane Jr. Pole, the youngest of the 3, maintained a more reserved presence, though she remained an integral part of the family's narrative. In 2023, she married Ryan Liam, embracing the role of stepmother to his 5 children and assisting in raising their blended family with the same care and compassion that characterized the Pole household. Though not a fixture on camera, Diane Jr.'s life clearly demonstrates how the core Pole family values of resilience, adaptability, and unwavering love extend far beyond the television screen. Each of the 3 Pole children, Kathleen, Charles, and Diane Jr., carved out different paths in life. Yet, collectively, their individual stories represent the enduring strength and unity of the home that Jan and Diane meticulously built. Their lives serve as a poignant reminder to viewers that, at its very heart, the Pole legacy isn't solely about the animals they've healed, but about family in every conceivable sense of the word. This beautifully woven tapestry of family life, rich with love and shared experiences, would soon, however, find its vibrant threads tested by the encroachment of profound and unexpected sorrow. Their family, built on a foundation of unconditional love, seemed complete. Yet, no life, not even one so dedicated to care, is immune to the encroachment of tragedy. Dark clouds were gathering on the horizon for the Poles, the unspeakable grief of the Pole family. Their family, built on a foundation of unconditional love, seemed complete. Yet, no life, not even one so dedicated to care, is immune to the encroachment of tragedy. Dark clouds were gathering on the horizon for the Poles. The joys of their growing family were soon to be overshadowed by unimaginable losses, testing the Poles' resilience in ways they could never have foreseen. Even within the celebrated and often cheerful walls of The Incredible Dr. Pole, a world that brought joy and education to millions, some heartbreaks remained too profound, too personal for the cameras. The Pole family, so beloved by their vast audience, faced a private agony, a series of devastating events that would test their collective spirit to its very core. The first of these profound losses was the death of Gregory Butch, the husband of their eldest adopted daughter, Kathleen. Gregory's battle with cancer cast a long shadow, and his passing left an irreplaceable void in the family. The grief was palpable, a heavy weight shouldered by all who loved him.
Gregory Butch died at the age of 50 after 4 years of battle with cancer. Greg took his last breath on February 20, 2016. Greg was married to Kathleen Paul for 20 years. In the years of togetherness, Greg and Kathy Paul gave birth to Adam and Rachel Butch.
As if that sorrow weren't enough to bear, just a few years later, the family was struck by another, equally shattering tragedy. This time, it was the sudden and untimely loss of their grandson, Adam James Butch. In 2019, Adam, the son of Kathleen and Gregory, was a young man with a kind heart and a future that had seemed so bright and promising. His unexpected death sent shockwaves not only through the Pole family but also through the loyal fan base of the show, many of whom had followed his story and felt a connection to the young man through family updates shared over the years. The specifics surrounding Adam's passing were never publicly released, adding an element of unresolved questioning to the immense grief. This public silence, however, spoke volumes, conveying a depth of personal sorrow that needed no explicit narration. The loss of Adam left a lasting, aching absence in their lives. An emptiness felt most acutely by Jan and Diane, who had played such a central and loving role in helping to raise their grandson. For Diane Pole, the agony of losing her son-in-law and then her grandson, all within such a tragically short span of time, was an immense burden. The weight of these compounded losses would have been crushing for anyone. Yet, throughout this period of profound personal suffering, Diane displayed a remarkable, almost superhuman strength. She continued her vital roles at the clinic, the steady hand guiding its operations, and even maintained her presence on the show. Amidst her deep sorrow, she became a quiet beacon of emotional strength for others. Those closest to the family, those in the know, saw how heavily these tragic events had stricken her spirit, how deeply the grief had etched itself into her heart. But to the outside world, and even to those within her immediate circle needing support, she remained a silent supporter, a pillar of fortitude. Whether she was behind the front desk at Pole Veterinary Services or standing by her husband's side, Diane continued to embody that quiet, resilient strength so deeply respected and admired by fans. Diese Tragedies, as such profound events often do, bonded the entire Pole family even closer. They also, perhaps, revealed new layers of their public personas. Charles Pole, often seen as the more light-hearted member of the family on screen, became visibly more contemplative during this period, offering comfort to his parents and steadfastly valorizing the family's mission through the platform of television. The response from fans was overwhelming. A torrent of support poured in via social media, with messages conveying love, offering solace, and sharing in the family's grieving process. These moments served as a powerful reminder that behind the cheerful scenes and the fascinating veterinary cases, this was a real family, navigating real, Rafhardik. The way the Poles stood together in the face of such devastating loss only served to endear them further to their audience, who saw in them not merely television personalities or skilled veterinarians, but deeply resilient, relatable human beings. The family's ability to endure, to continue their work, and maintain their grace became a somber yet powerful testament to their inner strength. But one couldn't help but wonder, how does a woman like Diane truly recover from such staggering blows, especially when life might be preparing to deliver yet another unforeseen challenge? The Poles had weathered storms of grief that would break many. Diane, in particular, had shown a quiet fortitude that was awe-inspiring. But just as the family began to navigate their sorrow, a new, personal crisis emerged. This time centered directly on Diane herself. The Poles had weathered storms of grief that would break many out. Diane, in particular, had shown a quiet fortitude that was awe-inspiring. But just as the family began to navigate their sorrow, a new, personal crisis emerged. This time centered directly on Diane herself. The year 2024 would bring a different kind of challenge. A physical ordeal that would once again thrust Diane Pole into a fight. Her own health hanging in the balance. In March 2024, the woman who had expertly managed every conceivable crisis at Pole Veterinary Services for decades faced one she couldn't delegate. One she couldn't orchestrate from behind the scenes. Diane Pole, the co-founder and long-serving office manager of their bustling practice, confronted a personal health challenge that sent ripples of concern through her family and the vast, loyal fan base of the incredible Dr. Pole. She underwent back surgery, a necessary procedure to address chronic discomfort that had developed over time, a persistent pain that had become too significant to ignore, while the Pole family, known for their authenticity, yet also valuing their privacy, chose to keep the specific details of the procedure guarded. It was confirmed that the surgery had been successful. Diane returned home shortly afterward to begin the arduous process of recovery. For pet and animal enthusiasts, The Incredible Dr. Pole has become a beloved show, spotlighting the lives of Dr. Jan Pole, his wife Diane, and their family as they navigate the daily demands of animal care. Diane, in particular, has stood out on the show for her quiet resilience and steadfast support, even as she faced personal trials away from the cameras. Her reduced presence, both at the clinic she had helped build from the ground up and on the television show where she had become a beloved, calming fixture, did not go unnoticed. For longtime viewers, Diane's steady, composed demeanor was as much a part of the show's fabric as Dr. Ever. Pole's tireless work with animals. Her absence sparked immediate concern and a flurry of curiosity. This was the unexpected news that had initially stirred such emotion among fans, the full nature of which was now becoming clearer. During her brief but significant recovery period, the day-to-day operations of Pole Veterinary Services continued, overseen by Dr. Jan Pole and the dedicated clinic staff. However, Diane's absence served as a potent reminder of the essential, often understated, yet absolutely critical role she played in the clinic's enduring success. From managing client communications with her characteristic warmth and efficiency to navigating the intricate logistics of the office, her influence was deeply embedded in the very infrastructure and atmosphere of the practice. The void she left was palpable. This difficult period also highlighted the profound connection Diane had forged with her audience. Social media platforms became a conduit for an outpouring of support. Messages flooded in, expressing heartfelt concern and sending ardent wishes for a speedy and complete recovery. Many fans shared personal anecdotes, recalling moments when Diane had reached out to them, perhaps with a calming word during a stressful clinic visit, a pleasant on-screen interaction that resonated, or simply through her comforting, steadfast presence alongside Dr. Pole. Viewers connected deeply with her quiet strength and unwavering professionalism, qualities that underscored the unique and cherished bond the Pole family had cultivated with its audience over so many years. The tension around her recovery gradually eased as news of her progress filtered through. By the end of 2024, Diane Pole was deemed fit again, ready to return to the heart of veterinary action. Her reunion with her colleagues at the clinic was, by all accounts, an emotional one, filled with relief and joy. For fans, her return to the screen, however gradual, was met with similar enthusiasm. This successful recovery was more than just a medical victory. It was compelling evidence of her remarkable physical resilience and her indomitable spirit, a testament to her unwavering dedication to her work, her family, and her community. One longtime staff member, speaking to a local reporter, perhaps summed it up best. The clinic just didn't feel the same without her. She's not just our manager. She's the soul of this place. This unexpected health scare, while a period of intense worry, ultimately served to remind everyone of the quiet, formidable strength Diane Pohl had always possessed. But what lessons, what new perspectives, might this period of vulnerability have imparted to Diane and the close-knit family that rallied around her? Diane's triumphant return was a testament to her spirit. As she reclaimed her place at the clinic, the family looked towards the future. A future that would involve new roles, new ventures, and the poignant end of a television era that had defined them for over a decade. Passing the torch and closing a chapter, Charles Pohl. A series finale. And what lies beyond? Diane's triumphant return was a testament to her spirit. As she reclaimed her place at the clinic, the family looked towards the future. A future that would involve new roles, new ventures, and the poignant end of a television era that had defined them for over a decade. While Diane was fighting her personal battle, the landscape of the Pohl family's public life was also shifting, with son Charles stepping further into the limelight and the iconic The Incredible Dr. Pohl preparing for its final bow. As one Pohl matriarch demonstrated her enduring strength and resilience, a new generation, spearheaded by Charles Pohl, was already actively shaping the family's next chapter. Charles, the adopted son of Dr. Place, Jan and Diane Pohl, has become a central figure in expanding the Pohl legacy beyond the well-trodden paths of their Michigan clinic. Born on the 6th of March, 1979, Charles's childhood was steeped in the world of veterinary medicine. He often accompanied his father on farm calls across the picturesque countryside, absorbing the realities and rewards of animal care from a young age. Despite this deep immersion, Charles ultimately carved a different path for himself, one rooted in storytelling and media. After earning a communications degree from the University of Miami in 2003, he ventured to Los Angeles, gaining valuable industry experience before returning home with a clear vision. To share his family's unique story with the world, Charles didn't just appear on The Incredible Dr. Pohl. He was instrumental in shaping its very essence. As an executive producer, he played a pivotal role in crafting the show's format, masterfully balancing the authentic, often gritty, realities of rural veterinary care with engaging entertainment. His ability to bridge his media expertise with the core mission of the clinic resulted in one of Nat Geo Wild's most successful and beloved programs. His creative endeavors didn't stop there. He also spearheaded the development of The Incredible Pohl Farm, a spin-off series that follows the family's journey into new agricultural ventures. Inspired in part by the global shifts during the COVID-19 pandemic and a growing desire to reconnect with food sustainability, this new show highlights the challenges and joys of farming life through a distinctly modern lens. In his personal life, Charles views family as his anchor. He married his childhood friend, Beth Oakes, in 2018, and they are now the proud parents of 2 children, Abigail, born in 2019, and Silas, born in 2021. Amidst these new beginnings and Charles's expanding role, a significant chapter was drawing to a close. After more than a decade on television, The Incredible Dr. Pohl concluded its remarkable run with an emotional series finale on the 6th of July, 2024, spanning an impressive 24 seasons. The Nat Geo Wild reality show had meticulously chronicled the professional and personal life of Dr. Jan Pohl. The announcement of the final season sparked a wave of emotion among the millions of fans who had followed the Pohl family's journey for years, expressing both appreciation for the show's impact and sadness at its conclusion. Throughout the show's entire run, from the very first episode to the last, Diane Pohl remained a constant, quiet, yet profoundly significant presence. Though rarely seeking the spotlight, she became a character in her own right, admired not for manufactured drama, but for her unwavering steadiness, her innate humility, and her profound dedication to both the practice and her family. She had faced immense personal tragedies, including the devastating losses of her grandson, Adam James Butch, and her son-in-law, Gregory Butch, as well as her own significant back surgery in early 2024. Yet, she never faltered in her presence or her spirit. In Diane, fans found an enduring image of resilience. The series finale was more than just a farewell to a television program. It was a tribute to the Pole family's impact, as one long-standing client tearfully revealed in the final episode. Dr. Pole didn't only treat our cows. He gave us peace of mind. The show's ending naturally led to the question of what would come next for Jan and Diane, particularly after the cameras finally stopped rolling. The final credits rolled, marking the end of an era. But for Jan and Diane Pole, the work, the dedication, and the quiet rhythm of their lives in Weidman were far from over. A new chapter was dawning. Away from the constant glare of the television lights, the enduring legacy, Diane and Jan Pole's next act. When the final episode of The Incredible Doctor Pole aired in July 2024, it marked the end of a television era, but not the end of the story for Jan and Diane Pole. Many fans wondered if this was their curtain call, a gentle segue into retirement after decades of tireless service. Yet, true to form, the Poles proved that their dedication to animals, their clinic, and their community was never about the cameras. It was, and still is, about purpose. Dr. Pole remains an active force at Pole Veterinary Services in Weidman, Michigan. Despite stepping back from television, he continues to treat animals daily with the same passion and boundless energy that endeared him to millions. His work ethic hasn't wavered, and neither has his love for the rural clients who have trusted him for over 50 years. Meanwhile, Diane Pole has made a full recovery from her back surgery earlier in 2024 and is back at the clinic managing operations behind the scenes. Her role, though often unseen, is vital. She ensures the clinic runs smoothly and remains the stabilizing force that has supported Dr. Pole from the very beginning. Her commitment, resilience, and quiet strength continue to shape the heart of the practice. While television may be in the rearview mirror, new possibilities lie ahead. Dr. Pole has hinted at writing a second book and launching digital educational content to mentor young veterinarians. These avenues allow him to continue sharing his deep knowledge and values, especially around rural veterinary care, which he believes is critical to sustaining agricultural communities. Diane prefers to keep a lower profile, but remains deeply involved in the day-to-day life of the clinic and the Weidman community. Together, the Poles embody enduring commitment, not just to their profession, but to each other and the values they've upheld for decades. Though the cameras have stopped rolling, the Poles' mission hasn't ended. It's simply evolving into a more personal, impactful legacy, still rooted in service, compassion, and connection. Dr. Jan Pole and Diane Pole continue to lead lives of dedication and quiet influence, even after stepping back from the spotlight. Though their television fame brought their veterinary work into millions of homes, their true legacy lives on in everyday service to their rural community. Whether treating animals, mentoring future veterinarians, or supporting local events, the Poles remain committed to the values that shaped their lives and careers. In late 2024, Dr. Pole spoke passionately at a town hall in Weidman about the urgent need to train the next generation of rural veterinarians. Diane, ever the steady presence, worked behind the scenes just as she always has. Their efforts now unfold more privately, but their impact remains deeply felt through consistency, humility, and love for animals, for people, and for each other. The Poles prove that true legacy isn't built on fame, but on service. Diane Pole's story is more than a biography. It's a powerful reflection on resilience, quiet leadership, and the enduring impact one woman can have behind the scenes. Through personal tragedies, health battles, and decades of unseen labor, Diane never sought the spotlight, yet she became the soul of the Pole legacy. Her journey reminds us that true strength often speaks in silence. If this glimpse into her life moved you, inspired you, or simply made you see the Pole family in a new light, we invite you to subscribe and follow our channel. There are many more heartfelt stories waiting, and we can't wait to share them with you.